Hey, everybody. My name's Ryan Atkinson, and you are on the Business Cloud. We have a conversation with Rafi Thorssen and Luke Thorssen on today's episode. They co-founded Vlogmi, which is the destination to watch, create, and share authentic in real life vlogs with the people you care about so you can start connecting instead of comparing. We talk about how they started Vlogmi, the negative impacts of social media, how Vlogmi is changing that, their fundraising, awards they've won, and starting a company as siblings. This is a really fun episode. I'm excited for you guys to give it a listen. So let's dive in. Welcome both of you to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you for having us. We're so stoked.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're so excited for this opportunity.
Awesome. Before we get started, I do want to ask about you guys coming over from the Philippines to Austin, Texas. What are three words that come to mind when someone asks you, what's Austin, Texas like?
Ooh, I would say the first one that I noticed is welcoming. What's yours?
I would say this one is very, very simple, but I think Austin is very chill. It's a very chill vibe here. I guess that kind of goes with welcoming.
And I guess welcoming, chill, and fun. It's super fun here and like a super young crowd. So there's just always stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, can you take us through when did you guys come to Austin, Texas? You guys were in the Philippines. Can you give us context around coming from the Philippines to Austin, Texas?
Yeah, we moved to Austin in August of 2021, and we had come right from the Philippines where we were, locked down for 2 years there. And so coming here to Austin, Texas, the land of the free, we were so excited to be able to, leave our house and go and, do stuff. And so we've been here a little over a year now, probably like a year, and a few months. And wow, we just love it here. It's been such little time, but it's funny because everyone that we meet here that's kind of in the same world as us
Mhm.
has been here less time than us.
Yeah,
Like,
we're almost like locals here now. It's crazy. And we've only been here like a little over a year.
yeah, and so it's cool how new this city is or how fast growing it is, where
Mhm.
we feel like we just moved here yesterday and there are actually people who have moved here yesterday. So it's really cool to be able to see such a cool city that's expanding so fast.
Mhm. That's it's funny because when people say that they've been in Austin for more than a year, I always call them veterans. I've been here since I guess fifth, and I feel like I'm actually starting to be one of the oldest ones in Austin now as well. So I can
Yeah,
feel you
Yeah.
guys
right.
on that one. But what were you guys doing it? So how long were you guys in the Philippines for? And what really brought you to Austin? Was it to escape lockdown or was it opportunities or what really brought you here?
So we were in the Philippines for 6 years. I moved there when I was 14. And so I went through high school there. Luke and my other older brother, Leroy, had already graduated high school, but we were there for almost 6 years. And then when COVID hit, that was quite soon after we began going on Vlogme full time. And it was just so strict there. I was 18 when COVID started, and I wasn't allowed outside whatsoever, and so anyone under
Yeah.
21 wasn't allowed outside of their house. And so I actually didn't leave, like, the front door of our house for about, like, a year, like
What?
yeah.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, so I think I was 20, 22. And when I would go to the pharmacy to get, meds or whatever, when I would go to Costco in the Philippines to get us groceries, when I
Mhm.
would drive there, they would have these military checkpoints on the highways that I would have to go through during COVID. And they would be taking my temperature, they would
What?
take my name down. And, after 2 years of that, we were just kinda worried because 'cause we're like, "I don't know when this is gonna end."
Yeah.
And, it only takes one guy who wants to cause problems to hold me up. I was thinking, "I feel fine, so if I go and get us groceries, what happens if they take my temperature and my temperature's high?"
Yeah.
Like, what happens then? And so after that, for especially for my sister and my dad, so my dad is over 60 and my sister was under 21. And so because of that, they couldn't leave the house at all. And, they even banned
Not
outdoor
know
physical
that.
activity.
Yeah, like, in our, neighborhood, we had, like, a neighborhood basketball court, and they tied up the nets, and so nobody could use them because just
Yeah.
no physical activity
I
outside
did not
allowed at
know
all.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was pretty rough for that 2 years. I mean, honestly, for me, it wasn't great. It wasn't
Yeah.
healthy, I would say, but I'm a pretty big introvert, so I didn't really mind, to be kinda happy to be at home. But, it was kinda weird to think, like, this feels like, well, it didn't feel like it was an actual military lockdown. And
That's
so, the last time that I went to Costco to get us groceries, at the checkpoint, they had a legitimate tank that was blocking 3 of the lanes on the highway, and
oh my God.
I was like, "Why is there a tank here, man?" Like,
COVID, like, I don't get it.
yeah. So, I mean, for us, moving to the Philippines from Canada, where we grew up, was definitely a big culture shock. Even though we're half Filipino, we grew up in Asia, but living and spending most of our time growing up in Canada and then moving to the Philippines was a big culture shock on its own. And then our
Oh yeah.
last 2 there were an even bigger culture shock again. We felt like we had gotten into the flow of things. We were feeling
Mhm.
like locals, and then all of a sudden COVID hits, and it's like I think the Philippines had the longest lockdown, of any country in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, they actually only just a few weeks ago went back to in-person classes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Then started up again.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And so, Rafi, you kind of alluded to a little bit, but like you guys were take us through Vlogmi. So, did Vlogmi start in the Philippines, and then you guys decided to take shop and move it to Austin, Texas, or give us context on what Vlogmi is and how it really got started?
Yeah, so actually it was Luke that came up with the idea when he was in high school, when we were still in Canada. And
Okay.
so he with the whole like framework for it and the idea. And then we moved to the Philippines where it kind of went on the back burner for a little while because he was part of another startup called Careless Music Manila. And so while that was on the back burner, it was a couple of years. And then um in the Philippines, my parents, the company that they were working on there, they ended up selling it back to their parent company. And so
Mhm.
then they were wondering, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Like
Yeah.
we wanna keep doing something, we gotta do something now. And so my dad asked Luke if he thought that Blogme still had legs. And he said yes.
Mhm.
And so then since then, that was I think May of 2019. Since then, our entire family just went full steam ahead with Vlogme. Like
Wow.
I was still in high school when I started working on it. I graduated, like, a couple months later, but
That's awesome.
everyone in our family just became totally full-time on BlogMe, and so, actually, myself, Luke, and our older brother, Leroy, we all invested our college funds into BlogMe, and so this is our college.
Yeah, my dad actually told us that if you truly believe in Vlogme and you really wanna work on this, you can
That's
invest college funds that I set aside for you into this project. And, it was a really big thing for me because when I had come up with this idea back in Canada in high school, at the time, I was initially, when we started Vlogme, I came up with the idea because Snapchat had just released their new feature called the Story feature, and
mm,
when that was brand new on Snapchat, I loved it. I
yeah.
loved seeing all my friends, what they were doing in the moment. It felt
Yeah.
so much more authentic than just what I saw them post on Instagram every few months, and
That's cool.
because I loved it so much, the one thing I didn't like about it was that the people who followed me that were in different time zones or or people like my parents who didn't use social media every single day, the stories would delete after 24 hours,
Yep.
and I wanted them to stay, there forever. And so initially, when I started Vlogme and came up with the idea, it was it was like Snapchat stories, but your stories never disappeared. And when I started to look into that whole, social media world and that social media landscape, I started to realize the negative effects that social media was having on young
Oh,
people, and, us being very similar in age, we were some of the first people ever to, or no, we were the first people ever to grow up using social media, the first time in human history that people have grown up using this technology. And we've noticed that it's caused so many mental health issues among people in our generation.
yeah.
The mental health rates have just skyrocketed for people in Gen Z. And when I started looking at that, I started to understand more about this whole, mental health thing because before that, I had heard about the term mental health, but I didn't really know much about it. It was just kind of like there. And when I started to learn more about it, I started to realize that, social media was affecting me in this way. And, I've been a lifelong content creator. I'm a partnered Twitch streamer. I've uploaded probably like 600 videos on YouTube, and I didn't realize that that was the thing that was causing me so many issues. And, it got so bad while I was in high school that I ended up dropping out of grade 11 because I was just, it's stupid to think of now, but, at the
Oh
time
no.
I was too anxious to show up to class. I would go to school every single day, but I would be too nervous to go into my class because I just couldn't deal with the anxiety of having to go inside. And so I would sit outside of my class, and my dad would get these emails all the time saying that I skipped school. And my dad would talk to me and be like, "Luke, what's going on here? Why are you
Yeah.
skipping all the time?" And he knew, I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't in the wrong crowd or doing
Yeah.
drugs or anything, but he was just worried because he's like, "I don't know what's going on here." And when I ended up dropping out of school, I took about, I would say, 9 months of where I was doing online school, which I really wasn't doing that stuff, honest. But, uh, for about 9 months, I was doing that, and I got really lucky because my parents were so supportive of, kinda helping me figure it out. It was
Yeah.
always, like a team
Awesome.
thing, and my parents discovered this school that was in our city that we lived in called Victoria. It's off the coast of Vancouver,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this school is called the Pacific School of Innovation and Inquiry. It's a high school that is based on inquiry-based learning, and when I found that school, or when my parents found it, the principal and one of my first business mentors ever decided to take a chance on me and let me come into the school a little bit partway through the year, and it cost something like $7,000 per year to go there, but they gave it to
Wow.
me for free because, they saw that I needed, some help, I needed some guidance and stuff. And when I was in that school, how it works is you ask a question at the beginning of the year, and your whole curriculum is based around answering that question while checking all the boxes to allow you
Interesting.
to graduate. And so during that time, I started Vlogmi, and my question was, I don't remember specifically, but it was, you know, why is social media having this negative impact on us, and why is it making us, you know, more social media is supposed to connect us, but
Yes,
it's made us a lot more antisocial. And so my whole question and my whole thesis was based around that. And that's kind of when I started to really develop the whole idea for Vlogme. And
yeah.
so when we kind of put it on the back burner and moved to the Philippines, we put it on the back burner after we went to the Philippines because we had this great opportunity with some of our friends to start this other startup. And so we started this startup called Careless Music Manila.
Hmm.
And that was my first startup that was a very, exciting experience. It was in the
Yeah.
entertainment industry. I started it with some of my best friends, and we actually grew it to be the largest independent record label in the Philippines and one of the largest in Southeast Asia. And so we did that over the course of, 2 years. And it was funny because in the entertainment world there, well, in the entertainment world everywhere, it's really run by the giants, Sony
Yeah.
Music, Versatile. But we were just young, stupid kids who were just like, "Yo, we can do this anyway. We can do it better." And, with all of the pushback, we were kind of seen as the jokes in the entertainment industry in the Philippines. And it was great because being able to grow so fast and show that what we really believed in with Vlogme, with our authentic content, was really hitting with our fans there, and being able to grow it so big really opened our eyes to what we could do. And so when I started doing vlogging with my family full time, my sister can probably expand on this, but when my parents asked if Vlogme still had legs, it became a family business from that point on. And it
That's
was really
awesome.
cool because our parents were willing to, bet the ranch on this project. And
Yeah.
so even my sister, she could probably tell you, but she was in this right from high school. I asked her to redo some of our graphics because
Yeah.
when we were on the old iPhones before with the top bar, the
Yeah, with
bottom
like
bar.
the home button and stuff. That
Yeah.
was what he had before with his previous team. But then when the iPhone became like the iPhone 10
Yeah.
the X, and so then they had to do a whole revamp of the
Mhm.
graphics. And so that was when I came on board, and I was working with a couple of designers, and I showed Luke, and I'm like, "Hey, do you like this?" And he did like it, and so then I
I
just
couldn't believe it. Wait, you made this? Like, you made this? It blew
So
my
what
mind.
was yeah, so what was on, like, the picture? Like, what did you design or what did you make, like, for the new iPhone?
yeah, it was just our, like, initial mock-up idea of Vlogmi.
Okay.
It looked quite similar to, like, Instagram or, like, Facebook, but kind of with the twist of, like, the colors and the artwork, which I really loved. It was, like, a line work, and basically just making it the best of every social media so that it still feels familiar, but then fresh enough that it's you can tell that this is Vlogmi.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really good this actually, like, literally came out today, the podcast Wall Street Journal Tech News Briefing, they talked about Facebook and, like, how when Facebook originally started, like, yes, there's a lot of great things that, like, connect the world through social media, but there's also, like, a lot of wrong that goes wrong with social media and, like, your mental health, the depression, like, all these different things that's wrong with social media. So I'm curious, what's your guys' take? What's wrong with social media today, and how is Vlogme changing that?
So I think one of the big things about the current social media landscape,
Yeah.
for myself, I got Instagram when I was, I think, like 9 or 10 years old. And so I
Mhm.
really grew up using these platforms and seeing like myself and my peers and just the negative impact it's had. Like,
Mhm.
I know that even still, like, I'm still overcoming this. When I post a photo on Instagram, I'll be obsessively checking like the likes or like whatever views. And partly it's because on these platforms, it looks like everyone has a perfect life
Yep.
because it's so curated that, let's say, like a model, they they have like photoshopped bodies, and before you would only see that in magazines, but now it seems like everyone is eating the best food all the time, or they're always at the beach, or they have the perfect bodies. When in
Yeah.
reality, it's like 1% of their life. And so I
Mhm.
think that's one of the biggest problems is that it's not a real perspective into these people's lives. It's just the best highlight reels of what's happening. And so on Vlogme, what we're trying to do is really make social media more authentic. And so our main differentiator is that you can only upload content that's been taken from directly inside of our in-app camera. So then that removes all of the Photoshop, reposts.
Oh, that's cool.
Exactly. And so it's all in the moment raw content. And so then it removes that whole side of it that's just very curated and fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that I noticed too is that on social media, you know, you are on there looking at people's lives and you're trying to relate to them. And it's very hard to relate to these people when, like my sister said, they're eating steak and calamari every day, or they're at the beach surfing. And it's like, man, you know, these people are having this amazing life. And I'm at home playing Super Smash Bros. And eating macaroni, you know, like, so,
Well, that sounds awesome as well.
and yeah, you know, honestly, for me, I kind of love it. But the issue for young people is that they're comparing their lives, their daily lives to someone's highlight reel. And, you know, it's not like people are doing this intentionally. It's just how these platforms are built.
Yep.
So we like to talk about how on Instagram and on TikTok, it's really built for sharing that perfect photo or that final product, you know? After you make a, let's say you're a model, you go and you take 1,000 photos in your photo shoot. You'll post the best one or the best
Oh,
few on
yeah.
Instagram, right? But what they don't get to see on your Instagram is the entire process of what went into making that. You know, maybe you had a like fitting before where you had to try on all the clothes that you were going to be modeling in, and maybe you were on set and you were only taking pictures for a little bit of time, but there was this huge thing that happened in the background where they screwed up the set or they spilled coffee on your outfits. And, you know, people don't get to see all of that behind the scenes stuff. And so they're really comparing their daily life to that final product. And what we think is missing on social media today is what people really want to see is that process. You know, when you hear a song on the radio or on Spotify, you don't get to hear the months that it took of them in the studio
Months.
making that song and, you know, how all of that stuff came together. And that's the relatable stuff. But we're so sucked into this whole thing of, you know, only looking at that final product to where, you know, these people who are posting on social media aren't relatable at all. And, you know, that's what we're really doing with Vlogme is building a platform to share the process rather than just that final product.
Yeah, so if going back to like the model, for instance, like, yeah, they're gonna maybe post their final product on Instagram, but they could maybe post like the behind the scenes footage because you can only post from the in-app camera.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So you would see what would happen that entire day. Like, let's say they were
That's
shooting
sweet.
at a studio. And so then you would see what's happening with the stylists and the photographers and the whole team that came together to make this one final photo that was the front page of a magazine. Because people don't see the thousands of other photos they take that day. They just see the one final one that goes to the magazine. And so it's just a lot more relatable seeing that these people are also real human beings as well.
Yeah. I'm curious. So this isn't, so people are going to think, oh, is this just like Be Real? But this is different because it's going to stay on for more than 24 hours.
Yeah, so the main difference is, well, first, I love the fact that Be Real has gotten so big because,
Okay.
there's been a lot of pushback from people saying, well, people don't want to share their, that process. People don't want to share their imperfections and everything. But with Be Real's insane popularity, it's really showing that there's not only a need for this, but there's a big want from our generation for wanting to see this type of content. The difference between Vlogmi and Be Real is much more like a Snapchat, where it's more like a direct sort of messaging to each other. You're only posting within your friends, and so there's not much of a discovery or a creator on there. So Vlogmi, comparing to Be Real, is much more like an entertainment platform where you can consume content and create content. Whereas, Be Real is mostly just like in the moment pictures, which is great, but there's not much content discovery or not really any content discovery to be done on the platform.
Or creativity as a whole, because on Vlogme, we really want to push creators and just anyone who wants to upload content on Vlogme to be creative and to be able to express what they want to within limited editing tools, but something that they can actually um like be themselves on. Like for example, on Vine, they had 6 seconds to show whatever creative outlet they wanted to. Or so on Vlogme, instead of that create a limitation being 6 seconds, it's only from the in-app camera. So you can still edit, but everything has to be taken right here, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, one of the major things that we've noticed when doing these deep dives into these very popular social platforms is, if you look at Facebook and you look at Twitter, you can do everything that you can do on Twitter on Facebook and
Yeah.
probably more. You can type whole paragraphs, you're not limited. But what people like on social platforms is being able to express your creativity and express yourself with some sort of creative limitation, which makes the content much more creative. And so,
Yeah.
for example, on Twitter, instead of just writing a blog, you have to write it in 240 characters. And,
Yep.
that's shown that, people have to condense what they want to say. And if they want to expand on that, there's a creative way to do it with Twitter threads, which are huge,
Yep.
right? Or like my sister mentioned, Vine, you can do whatever you want, but it has to be 7 seconds. And so on Vlogme, you can still make your TikTok like dance videos or your Vine like skits. Or if you just want to use it as your own digital scrapbook, just like your Instagram story, you can. But the main difference is that you only upload from inside of our in-app camera.
Yeah, that's how I'm kind of thinking about it, is like kind of like this podcast. Like I would upload a video like right now, this like they're like, oh, like here's a video like we're doing or whatnot. But the end product, the Instagram product would be after I do like the audio editing and like video editing. And I think that's the right way to approach it.
100%. Yep. And, with the people who are creating that sort of content, it's
Yeah.
more fun when there's some sort of limitation on there because you have to use your creativity to figure out how you're going to do these things. And so it creates a whole different type of content.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I want to move to like your guys' fundraising because last week you guys went live on Start Engine. First off, congratulations to you. I'll give you a round of
Thank
applause
you.
for Tampa
Thank you.
here. But I'm interested in like those conversations. Okay, let's go raise on Start Engine. Can you just take us like how those conversations really started and like what those interactions are like between like your whole family?
Yeah, well, for us initially, we have so far raised through what we call friends, family, and
Yeah, yeah.
fools. I wouldn't say that to
Friends.
investors, but it's mostly
That's
been
good. That's good.
smaller investors. We've got some angels in that have put up a little bit more, but up until this point, we've raised about 300K. But now that we're looking for more money, thank you. Yeah, well, now that we're looking for bigger money, we were looking at either looking at VCs or going this crowdfunding route.
Mm.
And for a platform like ours, where it's a consumer facing product, what's great is that with a platform that is, consumer platform, all of the investors in your campaign become big time advocates, almost ambassadors for your
Yeah.
product. And so on a crowdfunding platform, getting a bunch of these investors in is actually a huge benefit for us. A lot of people talk about having a very clean cap table. You want to have like very few people, but key people on it.
Yeah.
But for a platform like ours, where we really want to, grow through word of mouth and or
Yeah.
like organically, one of the best ways is having, hundreds or thousands of advocates for your platform. And so raising like this is a great way that we can almost do a marketing campaign where we're actually making money on it because it's getting us investments, but at the same time, be able for us to still have, control of what vision we want to have for the app, the direction we're taking it. Right now, before we have our first, 100,000 users, we don't really want to have a boss. We don't want a VC to come step in and tell us you got to do this and this and this. Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so for us, we think that this route is a very good one because it makes sense on so many different levels, whether
Yeah.
it's marketing, getting those advocates, and also just being able to have creative control of the direction of our company. And so it's definitely, I would say it's harder, because you have to talk to so many people and you can't just, it, it's not something where you put it up and then it's automatically a success. It's like a very big grind to be able to
Mm.
keep up the momentum and be able to get the investors in. And it's also hard because, crowdfunding, especially in the venture capital world, has a kind of a tainted reputation. People think it's a little bit tacky, especially the VC. But I truly believe that crowdfunding like this is the future of fundraising for, pre-seed startups, and it just opens the door to so many more things.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you made, that since you are crowdfunding, the people that are investing have like a motive to like really word of mouth advertise for you guys, because like smokes, like I'm back in this company, come join this app. And when it's a
Exactly.
VC, like it's just one person really, and they probably will have a network, but this is a whole different ballgame of advertising for free, essentially.
Definitely.
Exactly, because it's all consumers. And so
Yeah.
what's cool about
Really
startups,
smart.
anyone can really invest because the minimum amount is $100. And so then
Mhm.
I can even reach out to my friends and really anyone that is able to put up $100, and they're immediately advocates, ambassadors for our app because they're the ones that are going to be using it and really wanting to root for us because they've put some stake into the company already.
Yeah, I love it. And so we are coming down to an end. I have like two questions for you that I'm really curious about. Let's take the first one though. So you both were in Austin's 25 under 25. Another round of applause for you both.
Yeah.
Take us to the moment when you found out and some of the emotions you were feeling with like smokes, like this is a huge accomplishment. So take us to that moment.
Yeah, it was actually Shuri Werner. She's from Koya, also hosts Fiesta, great event by the way, like
Yeah.
the best networking event for startups in Austin. But she messaged me and she was asking for some info because she was going to nominate us for the 25 under 25. So I was like,
Ah,
oh my gosh, like I love Shuri, like thank you so much.
awesome.
And then I kind of just forgot about it after we stopped talking about it. And then actually I only found out when our friend Destin Bell from Cardio, he sent in our like friend group chat. He sent a screenshot of Luke and I, and I'm like, wait, what?
What? Hold up.
Yeah. He's also part of the list. And so he saw himself in there, and then he scrolled down and he's like, oh, this is Luke and Rafi. And then he sent it to our group chat, and I'm like, oh my God, we made it.
Yeah, it was crazy because I remember waking up and seeing that message on my phone, and I didn't really know much. I know my sister was asking for like a picture of us together to send to Shuri, but I didn't really know what it was for. And so when I saw that in the group chat, I was like, "Oh my God, that's really cool!" Like it's of course it's just like it's just a list, but it's one of those things where it just feels kind of good because you're building so much in private and it's
Yeah.
so hard, like, I know you know this with, like, what you're doing, it's every day there's a reason to quit, and those reasons to quit are really good reasons, you know? It's like, man, I could be doing this. I could be more comfortable. I could do this, but
Really?
we're builders, like we're trying to build something. We're doing this in the pursuit of something bigger, right? And so to have a little bit of recognition along that was kind of nice.
Yeah, well, I have to imagine too, is like like I put my whole college fund into starting this, and so I feel like this is a huge accomplishment. And so I wanted to ask our final question before we close down. You guys have been awesome, by the way. So they were in Austin's under 2025, but they're also siblings, which I know you have getting across. I'm just curious. It's obviously working out. I'm just curious, what's it like starting a company with your sibling? Shout out to my sister, but I don't know if I could do it. So what's it really like?
Honestly, I don't think I could see it any other way. Like it works so well. Like our family
Yeah.
just works really, really well together. And so I it just I I didn't even think that this wasn't normal. Like
Yeah.
like people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you started a company with your family." And I'm like, "Yeah, like isn't that just what you do?" Like and we're in this one bedroom apartment together and it's like apparently that's also not normal for like like share a one bedroom apartment. But it's just so like normal to us and
That's
yeah,
awesome.
like we just work so well together that I couldn't see it any other way.
Yeah, it was definitely we have a lot to thank our parents for that, because when I was growing up, my dad was he's a lifelong entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
whenever he would start a new company, he would really involve me and my brother a lot. He would bring us to his business meetings. I didn't know what they were talking about or anything, but I was so excited to be in the room. And it was just this culture that my parents built
That's
for
awesome.
us, and it's always been, we're in this as a team. And when my parents, they would talk about it a lot, but their actions really prove that, especially when they drop everything. And we say we invested our college funds, but our parents had invested everything they have into this. And
That's
so
awesome.
it's truly, it's something that I also couldn't see it any other way. We have such a great dynamic together. My dad has this business experience. He's done 4 IPOs.
And
My
then our mom is like the networking superstar. Like she somehow becomes best friends with everyone she meets.
And,
And so
That's
she's
awesome.
really the glue. And my sister and I and my brother just have we have very different views for a lot of things, but we all have, the same core values. And so I feel like we have a very good dynamic of being able to, you know, get into these, I wouldn't say arguments so
like
much,
disagreement.
but disagreements where it's like, yo,
Disagreements.
yeah, we have these disagreements where, with a random co-founder, it might be something that would ruin the relationship,
Yeah.
but with us, we got to go home and eat together.
Yeah, we have dinner together at the end of the day, so we can't really like it won't ruin our relationship that
Yeah,
much. I mean,
exactly.
like we sleep at the same house, so
Yeah. So it's a really good dynamic. And I mean, for me, I don't know how I could have done any of this if my family didn't, take this chance. And so it's really, really awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you both were awesome. Thank you so, so much for joining us on the Business Cloud. This was a really great episode. Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Please plug all those links and they will be down below in the description as well.
yeah, definitely. You can check out Vlogmi. We're on the App Store, live on iOS. If you're interested in Vlogmi at all, we're live on Start Engine, and so it's just startengine.com/vlogme if you want to learn more. Anything you
Awesome.
want to add?
Yeah, if you just go to vlogme.com, there's a link to our start engine there. It just says invest now. If you want to follow us, I'm at Luke Thorssen on Instagram. She's at
Rafi.Thorson.
Rafi.Thorson. And yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting journey. We're posting a lot about what we're doing. And so if you're interested in, joining, or if you're interested in just seeing how things are going, our website is a one-stop shop that has all of our links on it.
Perfect. Well, those links will be down below. Thank you both so, so much for joining us. This was a great episode and super
Thanks so
excited
much
we got
for
you.
having us.
Ryan, this was awesome, man. I can't wait to come back after 100 episodes, maybe.